everyone, this is Ashley with CT Unit Digitals. I am going to do a quick tutorial to show you how to use my new graduate digital backdrops in Photoshop. I have open the image that I'm going to use. I have open a digital backdrop that I could use. Just going to show you a couple of different ways to apply it. You could just come over and select all and edit copy and edit and paste into your image. And then resize. And you could start your edit that way, but I like to use the place embedded method when I'm going to be switching between backdrops when I'm not exactly sure which one I want to use. So Photoshop has gotten a lot better with the select subject and remove background and stuff like that, so that's good. It's getting a lot easier to edit photos like this. So I'm just going to go up to my window and make sure that my contextual taskbar is open, and I'm just going to click remove background. Okay, and it did a pretty good job. Okay, I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to drag it below my image. Okay, and then I'm going to go up to File and Place Embedded, and then you would just need to navigate to whichever folder your backdrops are saved on. I wanted to kind of match his tie, but I think I want to do a dark background similar to what the original was, but a little bit darker. It is always, as usual, going to be best to try to get the same tone as the backdrop, but with these it's not, and the new features that Photoshop has that I'm going to show you, you can get around it. But I'm just going to go ahead and click this one right here. Go ahead and resize it. Click the check mark. And I could be done with this image. But I want to show you a couple of different things. So I want to zoom in here to the tassel. And as you can see, the original image kind of showed through on here. So there's a couple of different things you could do. You could create a layer mask, and you could brush. Let's see, come over to the mask here. And I'm going to grab a very small, soft brush at 100%. Actually, I'm going to do about 50% opacity first. And I'm going to make it even smaller, and you could brush this off. That's more of a tedious job to do it that way, but that is an option. But with the generative fill and everything that Photoshop has now, I would, after you get all of your tweaking done to your photo, so here's, sorry, I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to come back to the tassel because I'm going to show you how you can edit the backdrop here to change colors. So say you really liked the style of this digital background, but you wanted it to be a different color. You can come up to a couple different ways you can do that. You can come up to your adjustments. You can add a hue saturation layer, and you can use this hue slider here to change the subtlety of the colors that are already in there. You could click the colorize button, and that's going to add a lot more color, and then you can play around with the hue slider, and then you can play around the saturation too. Say you didn't want it to be as saturated, or you wanted it to be more saturated. That's one way that you could apply color to the background. Another way, I'm going to get rid of this, create a new layer. Say I wanted it to match his gown. I'm going to put that layer on color blending mode. I'm going to grab my brush over here, hold down Alt on my keyboard, and click his gown to grab that color. And then I'm going to do 100% opacity, soft brush, and then just brush on that color. And now if you can play around, you can just click over here and say you want it to be a little bit more, not as bright or saturated there. You can click between them and you can play around with that. And then I'm going to go back. You could also just lower the opacity just a little bit on that so it comes through. I would maybe lower it a lot just because to me this kind of makes it's too much of that color. But that's different ways you can change the color. If you want to change your backdrop altogether, you can just right click the digital backdrop layer there, replace contents, and pick a different backdrop. So let's do like the champagne color one that I wanted to do before. Okay, that changed it. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that color layer. Yeah, I like this. I like this color. I feel like it blends in the photo a lot more. So these backdrops already have, some of them have more vignette than others. But if you want to add a little bit more, which I think I would to this image, I'm just going to go ahead and you could grab your burn tool and you could use that. But I just like to create a new layer on multiply blending mode. Grab my brush, soft brush again, and then hold down Alt on my keyboard, grab a dark shadow on the backdrop, and then paint it in that way. And then I would lower the opacity just a little bit on that, and I would maybe paint in more on this side since that other side had a little bit more of it. Okay, so I'm happy with my background. Now I'm going to mess with the tassel. Actually, I lied. I'm going to do a small color adjustment layer on him because he has a lot more cool tones on him and the backdrop's warm. So I'm just going to do a color balance, create a clipping mask. So I'm only working on my subject here, and I'm just going to make the image a little bit more warm. There we go. Okay, and now I'm going to right click and flatten my image because I am ready to fix that tassel. Okay, so I'm just going to, and this may work, it may not. Sometimes Photoshop doesn't want to do the right thing when it comes to this. I actually was messing with this earlier, and so I'm going to grab it, use my lasso tool, select that. I'm going to right click inside and do generative fill. And I tried to do this earlier with a different image, and I put tassel in and it flagged it. It wouldn't let me do it. Maybe for obvious reasons. I don't know if they think I'm trying to do like nipple tassels or something, no idea. But I am just going to leave it blank. I'm not going to do anything. Press generate. And again, I think you need credits now in Photoshop to do this, so you might have to use the paint method. But this is only because we're going from a dark gray backdrop to a light beige backdrop. Okay, so that made it look ridiculous. This one looks okay. I'm going to go ahead and go with this one. And then I'm just going to use my clone tool here. I'm going to grab it here, and I'm just gonna make it a little bit smaller because it's wanting to copy his chin as well. My brush a little bit smaller. You could use like Liquify probably as well to do this. Oops. I'm trying to rush now. Okay, I'm just going to clean up the edge of the tassel. So when I did this earlier on a different image, generative fill worked fabulous, and as you can see, it definitely did not this time. So healing tool, just clean up that one part of the image. There. Okay, so there. Tassel is back to normal. And that's it. That was a little bit longer of a tutorial than I wanted it to be, but if I would have done a different image, it would have been a little bit easier to edit, would have been quicker. But it's good to show all the different ways that you can fix the image after applying that. Typically, if you're just swapping backdrops that aren't significantly different, you don't even have to mess with any of that, and your tassel will be fine. If it was a woman, here, let me grab another image real quick. Okay, so I actually already edited this one for sample, so this is one of my digital backdrops, but hair can be tricky too for women, so I wanted to edit this one to show it. So I'm going to go ahead and remove background and make another layer, bring it below that. I'm going to go up to File and Place Embedded. I'm just going to click any backdrop here. Go ahead and resize. And now, if I zoom in here, her hair is probably going to look fine because it's kind of similar. So see, there's a little bit of a halo around her hair down here. A way to fix that, or a way that I like to fix that, is I create a new layer above the subject and I clip it, hold down Alt on your keyboard and click between those layers, or you can right click and create clipping mask. And I'm going to put that on hard light, blending mode, grab my brush, 100% opacity. I'm going to hold down Alt on my keyboard and click her hair color. Oops. And then I'm just going to paint in on her hair. And that's going to fill in that halo and not make it look so her hair does not look copy and pasted. I also have hair strand brushes in my shop that I use to fill in hair as well, doing composites. Zoom out so I can just show you. See, it got rid of that halo on her hair, and now her hair looks nice and full again. And you can also use, if you want, you can just select the edge of her hair and use generative fill like I did on the tassel on the other image, and that should just correct the flyaways and the edge of that as well. But if you're not wanting to use your credits, that's how I fix the hair a lot when I do digital backdrops. If you're wanting to just have a gray backdrop, I didn't add a ton of black or gray backdrops into the digital backdrops because you can turn any of them into a gray or a black backdrop just by going to your adjustments and clicking your black and white layer. It's now a gray backdrop. That's all you have to do for that, for any of them. Say you really like the look of a digital backdrop, but you want it to be gray or black. You just have to do that, or you could use the paint on black, or however you want to change it, but that's the quickest way to switch it between black and white. To use these as overlays, say you have, let's go back to this image. I'm going to start over here. I'm going to, where's my taskbar? Remove background. Nope, I don't want to remove background, just kidding. Undo. I'm going to select subject, quick selection tool, and click that select subject, or I could have done it on my contextual taskbar. I'm not completely comfortable using that, I don't think yet. Okay, I'm going to duplicate my layer. I'm going to create a layer mask, and then I am going to go up to File and Place Embedded, and say I just wanted to add the texture from a backdrop, but I don't necessarily want the color or anything that goes with it. I'm just going to double click this one, had quite a bit of texture on that. Okay, press OK. I'm going to go to my adjustments, create a black and white layer. I'm going to select both of those and merge them. And then I am going to change the blending mode to soft light, and I'm going to drag it below my image. So as you can see, original backdrop is still there and you can see it through this backdrop, but that just added a little bit more of a texture. That's another way you can use them. Very versatile, lots of different ways to use them, change the color. And I could have done so many, I could have done hundreds of backdrops in the pack, but you really don't. You don't need that many. There is so many different textures to pick from, and it's completely easy and simple to change them to whatever you want. If you have any questions, please feel free to send me a message. If you want more free tutorials like this one, be sure to subscribe to the channel.